Hi, I'm Jennifer Benning. I'm an instructor in engineering education, and I teach foundations of engineering courses, as well as I teach in green engineering minor program. Most of the topics that we cover in general engineering, they range from just really understanding what the different disciplines of engineering do and the role of engineers in our lives. So we really try to cover what engineers do, and what different disciplines of engineers do. We cover engineering ethics. So we do cover teamwork, and because that's important for engineering, communications, and then and engineering design. And so in our first year engineering programs, we get you involved in hands-on projects. You do get to use, there is a Frith lab that has laser cutters, 3D printers, and a lot of equipment that you can design ideas, build things, test your ideas, and we go through engineering design process. So there's a lot of opportunities in there, and so we teach that, and then we also teach some basic coding. We use MATLAB, and we do some engineering drafting using SolidWorks. So that's sort of an overview. When do you select your majors and minors? Well, minors have a lot more flexibility. It's good to know early on if you're going to take a minor, because a lot of times if you know what minor you're interested in, you can see what's required for that minor and try to, as much as possible, overlap with required courses for your major. So minors, the earlier the better for you, because it can potentially reduce the number of credits you have to take, because sometimes you can double count something towards a major and a minor requirement. And as far as when you decide your major, well, you start to apply about this time of the semester. So mid semester in your second spring semester, if you're starting in the fall. Does the Intro to Engineering course focus on a specific major or all the different types of engineering, and how does it work? Yeah, so we don't focus on a specific major. We try to, in the first semester especially, introduce you to all of the disciplines of engineering. Most everyone has heard of mechanical, civil engineering, some of the more, the ones that we see more from day-to-day basis, but there are other branches of engineering, biomedical engineering, and there's mining engineering. And so we do get you introduced to all of those different majors. As far as what we're doing and jumping in, so learning to write code, to look at data, to analyze large sets of data, that's a useful skill for any branch of engineering that you would go into. So we also focus on these kind of common core skills, because no matter what in engineering, we end up analyzing data, and we need to do that. So that's kind of a common skill, interpreting and communicating results. So we do a lot of that kind of thing in our engineering courses. Do all freshmen, first year students join general engineering and then decide the major at the beginning of sophomore year? So you would be joining general engineering, and especially in the first semester, you would be exploring the different majors and disciplines of engineering, and you do have some time to think about what what discipline you want to pursue, but then you would declare your major or apply to that program towards the end of your first year. So students are starting to apply for those programs now, around now. Do you need high school statistics for first year engineering? AP Calc. Well, so you none of these are required for first year engineering. AP Calc, AB and BC, AP Physics. Um, you don't have to have any of those coming in. But a lot of students do. So some students might take AP Calc and or AP Physics, or both, and then get placed into higher levels of those. But if you if you don't have those, or they're not an option at your high school, you'll be fine. Would you choose a minor that pertains to maybe what engineering field that you believe you want to go into after general engineering, or would there be a specific minor or something for general engineering? No, generally people are taking minors to learn something more about something that they're interested in. So the one that I'm most familiar with, and I do teach one of the required courses for, is the green engineering minor. In the green engineering minor, for example, green engineering and sustainability applies to everyone, all of the disciplines of engineering. So we do have students from all of the different disciplines of engineering, plus some who are not engineers as well. So in the minors, you might have an opportunity to connect with and meet classmates from different disciplines. But generally it's based on really what you're interested in and what you're motivated for. Minors can be helpful because when you're applying for jobs, anything on your resume that is going up, showing that you go above and beyond, and that you're showing initiative, minors can be helpful for you getting a job. So yes, general engineering is beginner friendly. Definitely. We don't expect everyone to come in with any background in engineering. A lot of times students don't even really know what engineering is about. If you grew up in a family where, in my case, my father was an engineer, so I did know something about what engineers do, but not a lot. And it really, is helpful to go into these kind of general first year programs to really, most people who are kind of pushed to engineering, it's because you were good at science and math, and we have that in common, but it's really then finding what are the things that you're most curious about learning about, what you're most excited about learning about. So we do make our programs in the general engineering and the first year courses very beginner friendly. Do we do any major projects in general engineering? Yeah, we do. Our first year engineering programs, the courses are pretty project based. So in the first semester, they tend to be sort of maybe, few weeks or month-long projects where you're working with a team on some specific projects. But then in the second semester, the Foundations of Engineering course is really focused on a project, a semester-long project, and it's going through all of stages of engineering design. So it is very hands-on. Normally we would be we have what's called the Frith Lab, which is full of all kinds of equipment and laser cutters and 3D printers. And, as a first year engineering student, you have the opportunity to explore and to use all of those. This semester is a little bit different because we do have our classes remote this semester. But what we have done this semester is that the Frith Lab had put together material kits for all of the students, and it was a huge effort that we got materials out to students to be able to build their prototypes and test them from their dorm rooms. So we do a lot of projects and very hands-on projects. How well do mechanical and aerospace engineering work as double major? I think there's a lot of overlap between those two disciplines. So I do think that they could work well as a double major. As far as specifics, I think you would have to go in and really look at if there are any courses that double count and figure out a schedule if you were going to double major. The class size in the general engineering classes, we have all of those classes are roughly 72 students, or a maximum of 72 students. That's pretty nice. That's the size of the classrooms, but so that's our maximum capacity. They're pretty fun. All of the instructors in the general engineering feel like they get to know their students pretty well, because we do spend a lot of time walking around and talking to you and not really lecturing at you. Electrical and mechanical engineering, the major fields used for building robots. Yeah, I would think so. For the most part, those are some of the big fields for building robots. I am a little bit familiar with the program, the Galileo. It does, yeah, I think it does help build a sense of community. I know that it offers some support and some networking for students. So I do know that I've had a lot of students who are in that program. They seem to be pretty pleased with it overall. In such a large school, how can students build a sense of community? So that's really important to us, and something that we do in general engineering, the foundations of engineering courses. We do focus a lot on teamwork. So even in remote semesters, you spend in our courses, you spend probably most of your class working with your team. And I think that in general, the classes seem to have a lot of sense of community. I try to offer or suggest that students connect with each other on, Discord. And so all of my classes have a Discord group. I have no idea what is on there, how often it gets used, but I do try to encourage all of the students to get to know each other, to make friends, and to, because it's really important to get some support. So I think, I think that at Virginia Tech, you have a lot of opportunities to build sense of community. Is there a professor or student support system for engineering students who are struggling? We have a lot of support. Yeah, so engineering advising has a lot of resources. You can always talk to your instructors too, and they'll help you find, maybe if even if we don't know offhand, generally we will spend time trying to find out and figure out how to get help for students who are struggling. And there are services offered at Virginia Tech as well for help with certain courses, but there's a lot of options, and my course page has a whole list of resources for students. Do you take electives outside of engineering or STEM? There's a certain number that are required for all students, that you have to fill some general education requirements. But I think that, students who find they're interested in other things will, if it's music or something like that, will make time to do that. What are the different opportunities for first-year students to get exposed to information that helps select majors and minors? That's a huge part of our first-year engineering course. We really emphasize having you all, giving you opportunities to understand and learn about all of the different disciplines and what engineers do, so that you can make informed decisions. What type of classes would you be taking your freshman year? Generally, it depends on if you have some background courses already completed, but most students are going to be taking things like calculus and physics, chemistry, things like that. And then we have for engineering first year, engineering or foundations of engineering courses, which is what I teach. So I'm pretty familiar with that. That's 2 courses. We really introduce you all into different branches of engineering, different disciplines of engineering, and especially for students who don't have a lot of idea, it's a great time to learn about what different disciplines do, what future careers in engineering might be like, and it helps you to decide which pathway you might take as far as deciding which discipline to study. An undecided engineer. Yeah, so when you're undecided, so at Virginia Tech, you all come in general engineering, and you'd be taking foundations of engineering courses. So yeah, you would be getting introduced to all of the disciplines during that. And so some of what we do is we'll have you explore different, through some hands-on projects, explore different types of engineering, but also offer opportunities, and as part of the course requirements, to go to open houses and to explore. Each discipline has open houses and gives more information too. So all of that is set up to help you decide. Is AP Physics a good class to take in senior year? Yes, definitely. I think that would be a good class. Most engineers would have to take that. And so no, you do not have to decide on an engineering major at the beginning. Hands-on activities. Yeah, hands-on activities. We do a lot of that in our first year Foundations of Engineering courses. So that we try to do a lot to get you some hands-on activities. Right now in our second Foundations of Engineering course, we have a design, build, prototype, test. So it's going through the process of engineering design. There's a lot of different projects. So we might have some students are working on drones. My students are working on solar ovens that are designed to be educational for a local scout troop. I've worked with students in the past on wind turbine design. So we do a lot. You get to get into the lab and build. Of course, this semester we've sent, because we're not able to go into the lab, we have sent materials out to students so that they can build their products and test them from their dorm rooms. So yeah, we do try to do a lot of hands-on. I think probably the most, the biggest disciplines of engineering are probably like mechanical engineering, but there's a lot of opportunities for maybe even some non-traditional ones like mining engineering, and some things like that too. For high school classes, well, I think we try to set up and design the engineering program so that you wouldn't have an expectation that you've had, say, engineering or even computer science programs in your undergraduate, because we do start at sort of a basic level, because that isn't an option in a lot of places or a lot of high schools. So it wouldn't be necessary, but if you have opportunities to take some programming. We use MATLAB, but I mean any type of coding language that you learn. Once you learn one, it's easy to learn the next one. So So if you have opportunities to take something like that, that would be a good recommendation. If you have opportunities to take any AP courses, that's always a good option too. Well, as far as design classes, I mean, we consider what we teach in the foundations of engineering to be engineering design and engineering design process. So there is that opportunity within the engineering program. And I guess design is part of engineering. Oh, an option for a major in general engineering. Not at Virginia Tech. There, you would choose an engineering major. There are minors in different disciplines of engineering. One that I am involved with is there is a green engineering minor, and I teach one of the required courses for a green engineering minor. So there are a lot of options for minors in different branches of, that is more general engineering. I appreciate all the questions and thanks for coming.